Hello students, today I would like to talk to you about plagiarism. It's a word that's sometimes misunderstood, so I want to make sure everyone knows how to avoid it. If you are accidentally plagiarizing, you still will need to go through the code of conduct procedures as if you intentionally plagiarize. So I just want to make sure you know how to avoid it. Plagiarism is reading someone else's ideas and then using the exact words as if they were your own. And in order to avoid presenting someone else's words as your own, you either want to put quotation marks around their words and then use a citation at the end of the passage. And usually we do that in parentheses with a page number, and we use the name of the person who wrote the article and where the article was written. Or you can paraphrase, which means you put it in your own words using the same ideas but not the same words. And you also use a citation to identify someone else's words and they're the source that they came from. So these are the consequences for plagiarizing. Whether you intentionally plagiarized or not, you still will have to go through this process of failing an assignment or even a class. You have a conduct report filed with administration and it stays on your record. You have to meet with the conduct officers, and you may also lose your priority registration. You will be suspended or expelled from the college. All of those are terrible consequences I don't want you to suffer. So to avoid plagiarism, you must give credit whenever you use the following: anyone's ideas, opinions, or theories. Any facts, statistics, graphs, drawings, any pieces of information that are not common knowledge. There is a discussion of common knowledge at the end of this handout. Quotations of another person's actual spoken or written words. Paraphrases of another person's spoken or written words. So you must give credit to other people's quotes and other people's paraphrases. So there are ways that you will need to do that. You must use your own words to refer to anyone's work, anyone's quotes, anyone's paraphrases, anyone's information. So, for an example, I took a passage from Lizzie Borden, A Case Book of Family and Crime in the 1890s. It's a book by Joyce Williams and a team that she wrote with. That's what the atoll means, and the others. It's a book, and this is an exact passage from that book. The rise of industry, the growth of cities, and the expansion of the population were the three great developments of the late 19th century American history. I'm just going to read that first sentence. All of this comes from Williams et al. An unacceptable paraphrase of this passage is here, and you'll see what the student does if you just look at that first sentence. The increase of industry. They changed the word rise to increase. The growth of cities. They kept that passage exactly the same as the original. The explosion of the population. Instead of expansion, they replaced it with explosion. And then it says the three large factors instead of three great developments. It's essentially the same exact passage, same exact order of words, same exact phrasing, same exact way to start the sentences. And so that is why it is not far enough removed from the original and would be considered plagiarism. So the writer's only changed a few words around. The writer has failed to cite the source as well. You need to cite that it came from Joyce Williams et al. So if we look at this next passage, this one is considered acceptable. Fall River, where the Borden family lived, was typical of northeastern industrial cities of the 19th century. Steam-powered production had shifted labor from agriculture to manufacturing, and as immigrants arrived in the U.S., they found work in these new factories. If we continue to read this passage, we see that we have honored what Williams had written in her passage, but we did not follow the exact same order, exact same sentences, exact same words. We rephrased it in our own words. We have paraphrased. And that is a good thing to do. Use your own words. But you'll notice even when you use your own words, you still need the citation. It has to be there. So here's a list of bulleted reasons why this student has paraphrased acceptably. You could also combine paraphrasing with direct quotes. So here we see the student has decided to keep or preserve some of Williams's words in the passage, but they also have used their own words around these quotes, and that is perfectly acceptable as well. You can use a blend of paraphrasing and quoting. This comes from Williams et al., page 1. And so they have also used a citation in this case. Okay? So these are the ways that you're going to avoid getting in trouble for plagiarizing. You want to make sure you are doing enough to change the information, to change the wording around, but preserve the information. And that's accurately representing what the author said in the original passage. And so here's a summary of the strategies for avoiding plagiarism: putting quotation marks around direct quotes, paraphrasing, but be sure that you're not just rearranging or replacing a few words. And then check your paraphrase after you've written it against the original to make sure you have done proper paraphrasing. Here's a discussion of what the difference is between common knowledge and not having common knowledge. So you can read these sections about John F. Kennedy being president in 1960. That's common knowledge. And this quote here, which is more specific and has an interpretation of the facts, and that is why this particular passage is not common knowledge and must have a citation. And so we have a page 6 citation, and we have the author of the book, this American Family Leave Coalition. So those are the ways that we avoid plagiarizing. So I'm going to put that in italics because book titles go in italics. And I also need to add the citation of the original here. And we're good to go. That is how you are going to avoid plagiarism. So send me a message if you have further questions about the process.